Real Estate Show. Today is Friday, March the 27th. And what an unprecedented time we have seen here in our country here recently. And obviously, we want to, be able to relate to that because this is something that we're all going through. So today I want to definitely give our business business owners, some tools that they can use to help their business grow in the times that we're going through. For that, I have a really good friend of mine, Eddie Garrison. He's a social media strategist that's going to be helping us, giving us some great tools that any business owner could use to continue to grow their business, even in these unprecedented times. So please help me give Eddie the warmest welcome. Welcome, Eddie.
Hey, Angela, how you doing this morning?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
I can complain, but so is everyone else, so I might as well not even do that. So
I love your attitude. You're always so positive, and I really appreciate that.
I try to be.
Yeah, so absolutely incredible what we have been going through within the last, couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Things have definitely escalated. We're both in Florida. I'm actually in Jacksonville, and Eddie, you're in Orlando, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So we were just, before we went live, we were just chatting a little bit about, what's going on in each one of our communities and things like that. And for me personally, I can tell you here in Jacksonville, the first thing that shut down was the schools, which was a big adjustment for me because I do have two little ones that are in school. Then the second thing that shut down were the bars. Not a big adjustment with that because I'm not usually in the bar scene. But the restaurants, they were closed down, and that was a big adjustment too. And then slowly but surely, other business followed. So obviously, that's had a ripple effect on the community, the economy, and those types of things. So I like to provide value to the business owners in our communities and talk about some of the things that they could be doing to grow their business. Obviously, this is happening because of the pandemic that we're seeing with COVID-19. But I'm kind of a history nerd. I've gone back and looked up, there have been other pandemics throughout human history in time. However, what makes this time different is that we are more digitally connected than any other time in history where there has been a pandemic. So we do have that as a saving grace for us to stay connected, even during times where we're being told to, keep our social distance. So these are some of the things that I definitely wanted to highlight, focus on the good, which are the things that we have access to, such as online marketing. And for that, I'm just super glad that you're here to help us, give us some tools for that.
Thank you. Yeah. So obviously living in Orlando, the first thing to shut down was Disney. And what people don't understand is like, oh, you're concerned about because you go a lot or all the tourists there. Actually, the more thing that you need to be concerned about for Disney is it's the largest single-site employer on the planet. Okay. They have 61,000 employees.
Wow.
That's 61,000 people right now that do not have income. And for an area that is probably, well, it's not probably, it is the most visited city on the planet, that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. And not only is it affecting Disney, it also trickles down to the hotels, it trickles down to the bars, it trickles down to the restaurants. The one saving grace I can say about Orlando is nobody around here is panic buying anything. Before we went to Publix this week, everything that we needed. So they had toilet paper for, I've still yet to grab. It's a point. We have never been more connected, and, love or hate social media for your business or personal, whatever your reason for that. Social media, when Mark Zuckerberg, actually gave his mission statement about Facebook, he wanted to bring the world closer together. It actually really has. So it's an opportunity for people. It's an opportunity for people to leverage the connectivity that we have. And for me, one of the biggest things is we're doing it right now. Video, live streaming and video is so huge for your business, especially now when people are trying to stay away from other people. Use that to leverage your business and even help grow your business in this time. Yes, people aren't willing to spend money right now because they don't know when they're going to make any more. And I obviously get that, but you can use specifically social media and video to, to show empathy to your audience and your customers, information that they may not have access to. You may know something that they don't. So providing information to them through your social media channels is one of the biggest things that you can do, especially in your local community.
Absolutely. I'm taking notes here because I think that that's coming from a position of contribution. There's so much going on that, if we think in terms of providing information, that's a way of putting ourselves in a position of value and still continue to stay connected with the people that matter the most to us.
Correct.
Some of these things have kind of taken me back to some of the other crises that we've had here in Florida, like the hurricanes, right?
Yeah.
Some of these things kind of remind me of that, like going to the grocery store, finding things that were out, certain items and things like that. And our approach definitely within those times has been to provide information. So I'm glad that you're bringing that up because that could be very appropriate for these times. As far as continuing to regenerate and continue to expose themselves and their products out there, how could social media be used for this?
Right. So one thing people do have to realize is, guess what? Business is business. Okay. Business is bottom line. So you have to be able to understand your audience and what they're willing to accept from you as far as still trying to promote your business. Now, I'm a firm believer. Well, first of all, I'm not a firm believer in paid advertising anyway when it comes to social media. But if you do have that, you need to pause that at this time. Nobody wants to be bombarded on their social media networks when they're trying to get news and they're trying to see what's going on around them locally. They don't want to see that you're selling a couch for $7.99. At your Sunday. They don't want to hear that stuff right now.
Right.
The thing that you can do to help, and again, I'm going to use this word a lot, is empathize with what's going on, because you're a person just like they are. You're going through the same situation they are. So you always have to look at it from your audience's point of view, not just your business's point of view. I work with a lot of restaurants in the area. Some of them are closed. Some of them are not. And what I mean when they're not closed, they're only available for curbside and, delivery. So a cool thing that we've been doing, what I think is pretty cool, is every other day we're showing information about what's going on locally in their local communities, because Orlando is a pretty big area, very similar to Jacksonville, right? So where, there's downtown, but nobody really lives in the downtown area. Everybody lives kind of like on the outskirts of the city, right? So there's all these little neighborhood pockets. Well, each one of those neighborhood pockets has their own kind of culture. So if you can stick to showing what's going on in your local community and say, oh, by the way, if you're tired of cooking or looking for this, we have this available to you for curbside and for delivery. And I'm also trying to do a lot of entertaining content as well. For some of the businesses that are actually closed, I'm doing more informative posts, but there's some tools, some free tools out there for you that you can I did a crossword puzzle for a customer of mine. So you could just go to this website and you can type in words that you need to put in like a crossword or like a word find, and it auto populates for you everything. Now, obviously, I'm a graphic designer, so I was able to just do like a screenshot of that and create a graphic for that. But during this time for a lot of my businesses, and if you know anything about social media, specifically anything about the algorithms of social media, the more engagement you get, the more people are going to see your content. And that's even more important in these times because you're trying to push out a lot of it. So the more people that can see it, the better your content is going to be in the end for your audience.
Got you. And specifically as it relates to social media, are there certain platforms that would be better to use during this time than others, or are we just going to be showing up, where our audience is at?
I think that's the latter is going to be the best way, Angela, because when you look at it, when you're creating social media content for your brand, you've already kind of established yourself on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever. There's no reason to jump on another platform where your audience just isn't going to be. So if they're used to seeing your content on, say, Facebook, just stick with Facebook because that's where they know you're going to be. There's no reason to go out and register an account on Twitter because half your audience or 90% of your audience isn't going to know that you're on Twitter or know where to follow you. So you're just going to be pushing out content there for no apparent reason. So I think just kind of the old adage is kind of like stick to your guns, right? So stick to your guns in this instance and just push out content that's going to help them, that's going to inform them. And one of the biggest things you could do right now is entertain them, because there's a lot of backing for entertainment. So if you know your audience, and I'm just going to throw out an idea here, if you know your audience and your audience is small families or families in general that have small children or anything like that, that are looking for things to do about doing, like, and keep it brand specific to your brand, you know, do coloring books, do word finds, do word jumbles, do riddles, host a game show one night on Facebook Live. It's not really hard to do, guys. I know a lot of people don't want to jump on there because they're like, oh, I don't like what I look like on camera. Well, I got news for you. Nobody does. Okay. It's very intimidating for people to jump on camera. But guess what? In these basically uncertain times, they're going to look at it and go, hey, did you see that brand A did the other night? We go there all the time. It was so much fun. If you can just give people an excuse to get away from what they're dealing with, because a lot of people aren't used to being home 24/7 and they're going stir crazy. They got cabin fever. So if you can get them to not think about that for an hour, that's going to be a huge deal 6 months down the road from now, when hopefully all this is well past us, that they're going to go, hey, remember what Angela was doing for us? Well, my cousin is looking for a house. Let's contact with her. So it still all comes full circle back to what you're offering your audience, but you can do it in an empathetic and sympathizing way, especially in the times that we're living in right now.
Sure, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's an approach to bring in the human element into the conversation. This is absolutely the time to be more human than ever, because of all that we're going through, and this is something that we have all in common. You know, there isn't anyone that's exempt from this. So we are all being affected in some way, shape, or form. So it's important to bring the human element to it. One other thing that you mentioned was the entertaining factor. You know, I thought that was brilliant. I was talking to a real estate agent last night at one of my groups, and she was hosting a karaoke night over Facebook Live. And I thought that was brilliant, you know, because it doesn't have to be all like serious gloom and doom, or business only. You know, I think that's what we need nowadays, you know, just a little bit of sensitivity, a little bit more human, a little bit more relaxed type of atmosphere. And I thought that was brilliant. Another thing that's come across my social media channels was actually a friend of mine. I didn't know she had this talent, but she started kind of like a cooking class for children. Yeah. And that caught my eye because, you know, obviously, just like you, I get a little cabin fever sometimes. And I have two little ones that have a lot of energy that they have to exert. So I'm like, okay, what can we do? What other activity could we have? Exactly. She was, demoing, how to make a certain kid recipe. So it's important to keep our creativity, open to all kinds of ideas. Nothing's off the table. If it comes from contribution and is valuable, we have to put aside how we might look like on camera, what we might sound like, specifically video. That's something that, could be a saving grace right now for many businesses. To simply showing up, part of it is just showing up. Exactly. So we need to let those barriers, those things that are, kind of in the back of our mind, get off the table so that way we can show up and serve our clients. How do you
video not only, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was going back to video, why it's so important, because like I've had the benefit, or however you want to look at it, I've worked at home for over 10 years. So working from home for me is nothing new. Like my day-to-day, all this hasn't changed at all. The only thing that's changed, honestly, in my life is I can't go to Disney, or I can't go out to eat late at night or something like that. That's really the only thing that's different in my life. I've worked from home, like I said, for over 10 years, but I've utilized video a lot. And I think businesses now, I know we've been, as digital, marketers, we've been trying to get people to be more involved in video. Now they're almost forced to do it because their business still has to run. Their employees still have to work, but how are they going to communicate with them? Well, platforms like this, like StreamYard, are allowing them to host meetings every single morning where they can put 6 people on the screen, bring people in and out, and they can have virtual meetings like it's like they're sitting in the office. So productivity as far as a business wise doesn't have to decline. And truth be told, studies have even shown productivity goes up when people are happy at work. So if they're happy to work from home, I think this is really going to change the mindset of a lot of big businesses out there, and even small businesses that looked at working from home as almost like a luxury because, oh, it must be nice to work from home. Well, it actually is, but there's also a downside to it as well. There's a lot of distractions at home. Yeah. There's a lot of, oh, well, now I don't have to wake up at 6:30 in the morning to get to work by 8 because I don't have that 45-minute commute. So now I can sleep a little longer. And then that sleep a little longer becomes sleep a little longer, sleep a little longer. So I think there's a learning curve specifically for people that aren't used to working from home. So setting a routine and utilizing the technology at your disposal that's on your phone. Like we're doing right now. I'm on my mobile phone right now doing this interview with you. So this is how easy it is to utilize the technology and specifically video to stay connected while providing good quality content, information, entertainment. And again, I'm going to use the word empathy to everyone that you have reached to, because we all have influence over somebody. We all are famous to a certain group of people. So if you can leverage that and video touch, please do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, and that's what makes this time during the pandemic different than anything else. Again, I just keep on thinking about that. You know, that is the saving grace. You know, I can only imagine what that must have been like back in the 1920s when there was the food pandemic, the flu pandemic. You know, they didn't have this ways to communicate. They really literally had to be shut down. And, you know, and another thing that I think about is how resilient our country is, you know, our communities, you know, and how, you know, how this is at some point, you know, something that we can look back at and say, okay, that was the time that we went through. And, you know, so all of this is going to have, you know, a way out. But while we're in it, we need to find a way to still keep our productivity up and still stay connected. You know, the social distancing, I don't know how you feel about that, Eddie, but that's been a big adjustment for me. I think that us human beings, you know, just the nature of the human race is to be social. You know, we're all connected in some way, shape, or form. So this was an extreme measure, and I understand why we need to do that, and I'm practicing that. However, it's a big adjustment. So I think that, again, the saving grace is having all these tools and actually using them to continue to keep our connectivity and the human connection there.
Oh, definitely. I'm a big old extrovert, right? So I mean, if I don't talk to someone, I just feel like, what am I doing? Like I was like,
yeah, who do I talk to?
Right. Yeah. So thank you again for allowing me to come on and talk a little bit about this, because I've been on live streams pretty much all week. My productivity has gone through the roof personally, because a few, probably 3/4 of the brands that I do social media management for are. So their content now, like I spoke to earlier, is more about informing their audience about what's going on, what they can do in their local communities, where they can get certain items, things of that nature. But for a personal brand side, I have been cranking out videos after video after video, and I'm trying to be informative to everyone else, right? I'm trying to show them that these are the tools that you can use for free to stay connected and be productive. Here's how you can set your schedule up to work from home if you've never done it. This is how you use StreamYard to host a virtual meeting. This is how you use video to put your message out there. So for me personally, my productivity has gone up 5,000%. I've probably shot and edited more videos in the past 2 weeks than I have in the past 2 months. So that's a lot of fun. I'm getting to finish a course that I want to launch pretty soon, which is cool because it's called Getting Started with Video, which is very relevant and pertinent to the times that we live in now. So hopefully that's going to launch on April 1st. And no, that's not an April Fool's joke. I'm hoping to launch it on April 1st. So.
Awesome. So I love the experience that you bring. And I also wanted to point out, you know, your website is scrolling through our video right now. So if anyone wants to connect with Eddie, you know, that would be the place to find him. As well as encourage any questions that you might have. I see we have some people watching. So if there's any questions that you'd like to ask from Eddie or myself, please be sure to put them in the comments section right now if you're watching on Facebook, because I can see those and I can pull those up and I can get your questions answered. You know, some of the questions could be as to relates to productivity. Some of the questions could be as it relates to having those routines. I'm glad that you brought that up, because even though since the first of the year, established a home office setting, I'm typically out and about. You know, my business is very relational. It's very much, you know, shaking hands, and but I can't be doing that these days. So I had to, you know, set myself up in a routine. And like you said, working from home, you know, does require a lot of discipline. You know, it's very easy to just let, you know, your sleep extend. And I can't do that because I have, you know, I have a lot of things to do. Plus I have the kids that I have to also keep on a routine. So it's important to set yourself a calendar. And speaking of calendars, let's talk a little bit about the social media calendars. How would those come in handy during this time, Seti?
Yeah, definitely. But one of the first things that I sit down with a new brand that I'm going to work with, and even the brands that we already work with, we do this as well, but we come up with a content calendar, right? So it's basically, the way that I equate it is like a TV guide for your social media marketing efforts. So you know that every Monday Night Football is going to come on at 8 o'clock, right? You know it because it comes on every Monday night at 8 o'clock. You know it. You're going to turn on the television. You expect it to be there when you turn it on. You have to look at your social media just the same way, because people, to your point that you just said, we're all creatures of habit. We all have a routine. So if your audience doesn't know when your content is going to post, there's no reason for them to look at it, and there's no reason for them to engage with it. So making a content calendar and being consistent, that is the biggest thing that I see with anybody that walks up to me when I'm speaking in an event or I'm doing a live stream, and they're like, what is wrong with my social media? I don't even have to look at their pages. I don't even have to know what industry they're in. The first thing I ask them is, when's the last time you posted? Why did you post at that time? They never have the answer for that. And therein lies their problem, because they're not set up with a consistent content calendar. You have to look at your home life now the exact same way. You have to stick to a routine. So now that you're working from home, almost like you were going into your office. So wake up at the same time, take a shower, get ready, just like the office. But now, instead of stopping and getting that latte, stopping at Starbucks, go into the kitchen. You know, make your coffee, get your bagel, whatever you're going to do, and then go to your dedicated workspace. You have to have a dedicated workspace, because you need to be able to separate your personal and your business life. That doesn't mean that, obviously, someone like you that has small children, back falls, you have to attend to your child. I get that. But you need to be as schedule regimented as possible. And I like to tell people to plan their day in 1 hour blocks. So you respond, read your email the previous day. Breaks are important, guys. Just because you're working from home doesn't mean that you have to sit down and work for 10 hours a day. Get up, walk your dog, do whatever. Take an hour lunch break. All these are very important, just like you would if you were in your life as normal as possible, just you're working from home. So having that set schedule is really going to help you with that transition from not going to the office, working out.
Yeah, that's super valuable, and that I'll take that and apply it. You know, I think that having a routine is super key. You know, and it helps us stay consistent. You know, I think as human beings, we have certain rhythms and certain seasons, so we have to make sure that we continue to have that. That's something we all have control over. You know, just because there's a crisis outside doesn't mean that you have to bring that crisis home, or that you even have to be in crisis in your business. You know, I mean, that obviously we want to have the sensitivity. These are some really unprecedented times, without a doubt, like none I've personally ever seen before. However, you know, when you start hearing Disney's closing down, I mean, I'm like, never in my life have I ever seen Disney close down.
I think they've only closed 6 times since they've been open since 1971, and like a few of them for hurricanes. One was obviously September 11th in 2001, and this. So it's interesting when they close, and I hate to use them as like a measuring stick, but when they close, you know something is seriously wrong, because I'm not saying this is a bad thing. They're just a money-making machine, right? That's what they do. So for them to close, they bring in about $11 million a day. That's what they bring in.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, there's another thought that I've had. So all of these people right now are not working, right? They're working for Disney. You said there were about how many? Thousands of them, right?
I think there's like right around 61,000.
Okay. Now, once the parks reopen, which they will at some point,
At some point.
Sure, we just don't know if it's, you know, a week, 3 weeks, a month, however long, you know, all of those people would be needed, you know, by the parks, obviously, you know, so there's going to be a transitional period, but in the interim, what are some of the things that we can do to stay connected is what the topic of the show is. So right. I am so glad that you brought in all of this value. You know, a couple of things that, or I've gotten a lot of it, but a couple of things is definitely sensitivity, you know, that's, you know, let's stay connected on a human way. You know, it's not so much about the products nowadays as much as it is about the connections.
Right.
And then also, you know, the consistency. You know, I don't think that that's even anything that's particularly, you know, to this pandemic. You know, I think in business overall, you have to have that consistency to be able to see growth.
Exactly.
I appreciate you, friend. You've helped me tremendously. You know, you have been such an instrumental part and a great mentor to help me setting up my show and, you know, learning all of this. So, so tell our audience, you know, how they can connect with you. I know I had your website here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it one more time. But what are some of the ways that you can help business owners grow during these times?
Yeah, so I have a private Facebook group called the Digital Media Creator Academy. So you can search for that on Facebook and ask to join. And what I try to focus on there is basically just education and information for people that are just getting into the digital marketing or social media marketing space, or they've been in it for a while and they just want to keep up with all the news. So it's a place for digital professionals, creative entrepreneurs, and small business owners to learn just a little bit more, maybe from somebody that's a little further in their career than you are. It's just education is what I'm trying to provide people there. You can go to the website and you can get to the Facebook group there. My website has free video training. It has a lot of free resources and tools that you can download and use 100% free. I try to keep everything there as free as possible. I do have some paid content. So if you were to, you know, purchase a course, that would be great. But I'm not going to promote myself on your show or anybody else's show, but because I pride myself on trying to be as free education as possible. And on social media, you can just stalk me at my name, Eddie Garrison. I'm Eddie Garrison everywhere on pretty much every platform other than like Twitch and TikTok, because I'm just not there.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you, Eddie. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So hang tight. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Hold on. Let me go ahead and do this. So there you guys have it. You know, I feel that we've covered a lot of great content today with giving you guys some ideas, some strategies as to how to continue to connect in a human way by using video, by using our social media platforms. This is definitely unprecedented times. But we know that we're going to come out of this. We just don't know how long it's going to take. But in the meantime, I wanted to give you guys some information, some tools, some things that you can walk away with that will continue to keep you connected during the time where we're being encouraged to stay socially distant for good measure, of course. So you guys take care. Please stay connected, all right? And remember to be kind to one another. Until next time, remember, every Friday morning at 10 a.m., I host this real estate show. And today specifically, I wanted to just make it all about bringing value to the business owners in our community. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, have a beautiful day. And remember to be kind to one another.